right. Hello, everyone. Welcome, 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 everybody. I am Chrisnatha DeRozier, certified life coach, author, and speaker. But today we get to talk to and about an amazing woman of God, my sister, my friend. I just love her. She's one of my favorite people. So you guys get to also spend some time with me as I talk to Miss Tasha Renee of Chapter 7 Ministries. Welcome, Tasha.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Oh, Chris, I love you. I love you, love you, love you, love you. Thank you.
I love you back, sis.
Yeah.
You guys, Tasha is amazing. So quick backstory. We actually met in Florida. We met in Miami.
Yep.
And then we both ended up right here in good old Houston, Texas together.
Yep.
So I knew God had a plan and she stuck with me for life. So she is my sister. And I'm super happy to have someone like her here in Houston because it just feels good. It feels good. So guys, this is Tasha Renee, but I'm going to ask you, Tasha, to answer this super packed question. Who is Tasha Renee?
Oh gosh, yeah, super packed. If I would start off, I would say obviously the number one thing, social butterfly. Social butterfly in the sense that I love to engage people. I want everyone to feel like they have a space. So a lot of my friends who I've met, or through church or something like that, they're like, you're the first person that I spoke to, and you just made me feel so at home. That's who I am. I want you to feel at home in whatever space we're in together. And so I would say that's like the number one thing, social butterfly, welcoming. I would also say a little firecracker. I mean, these days I show it in my hair, Lady Lion is the term that has been given to me as of late, just going out there. And my new characteristic that I'm wearing, and I'm trying to make sure that I carry it well, is just being bold enough to do the things that God has put on me to do. So I'm a friend, I'm a sister to all. I don't know. They say, somebody doesn't know a stranger. That's me. We're all sisters and we're all friends. And I just love everyone and want everyone to feel that they have a sister or a friend in me. So there you go. I hope that answers the question, the loaded question.
It does. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that we don't have to know each other for a long time. We can just love one another. You see a sister and you say, listen, what do you need? How can I support you? You're not alone. So I absolutely love that. And you are the founder of Chapter 7 Ministries. And I would like for you to tell us about Chapter 7 Ministries. How did it start and what is it all about?
Yeah, sure. So Chapter 7 Ministries is a women's ministry that is geared toward loving, restoring, and elevating women. So what do we mean by that? Just kind of like what I just explained about my personality. When you walk in a room, I want you to feel the love. Like whatever we're doing, I want you to feel welcomed and invited. And so anything that we do, whether it's something that's an event that's in person or something online, we're going to try to make sure we give off that environment. But, a lot of times you may come in not working in your full potential. And so we want to help. I say we want to partner with God because we can only do so much, right? But we want to partner with God in helping to restore you to the original plan he always intended. A lot of us walk through life and we start picking up characteristics that were never intended for us. We start picking up burdens and everything that was never intended for us. So our goal is to do things, whether it's seminars. We have our big event Arise that we just had this weekend, which I still can't put to words, but it's a women's gathering, a retreat, I guess what some would better identify with. Just anything we do to help with the restoration, help to remind you of who you truly are in Christ. And then after that, we talk about elevate. If you are a businesswoman, if you are at home woman, whatever it is, We want to support you in what you do. We want to remind you again that you are great and do what we can to uplift you, encourage you, promote you. So we do things like Elevate Her, which is an opportunity, which Chris actually got the first one,
Mhm.
an opportunity for you to kind of talk about your endeavors, what you're about, why you are just so encouraging. So when people have the opportunity to nominate, and so you obviously touch someone's life that they wanted to nominate you, and so we give you that opportunity to just be uplifted and elevated. So that's the gist of what chapter 7 is about. Now, where did it come from? It literally came from my personal experience. I was right before COVID, so 2019. I was a part of a small group of women who did exactly that. And Chris was a part of that too. So I got to give you some of this credit, well, a lot of this credit to Chris. But they uplifted me, they encouraged me. I was broken. I was not believing that I could do anything. All the things that I had vision for, but I didn't think that I would be able to accomplish it, or I didn't know the how to accomplish it, put it that way. And so anytime I would say something that was kind of like, well, I believe I can, but you ladies, you were like, Tasha, you've touched me in such a way already just from this environment. You can do this. You can do this. And so I tell the story of, I had a vision one day of God showed me this sentence, and he said, you will do big, but he did big in capital letters. Like, so I could literally visualize it as if it was in front of my face. And he said, you will do big things. And so the same thing that these ladies spoke into me, Tasha, you're going to do great things. You're going to do great things. And we did a study called Gideon by Priscilla Shirer. And in that study, we talk about Gideon, who has his name changed from chapter 7, where he's in hiding from the people that would attack him. He's literally hiding from them in the wine press. Till all of a sudden, chapter 7, he had people. Well, first of all, it took a lot of convincing from God, but God was so gracious with him. He kept questioning, but he was gracious. But the moment that God saw him, even when he was in hiding, God said, mighty man of valor. So again, that goes back to God already knows that you are good enough and able to do this great thing, but you have to believe. So then you see the shift from chapter 6 in the story of Gideon in Judges, chapter 6, to chapter 7, where people believed in him and changed his name for him. This doesn't happen often. A lot of times God is the one who changes the name, but it was the people around him that changed his name to Jerubbaal, which means contender of Baal, which was the God that the idol that he did away with for the nation. And so right then I was like, that's what I want people to remember, get into their chapter 7s. So chapter 7 is about moving people from chapter 6, where they may be in hiding on shore or whatever, into chapter 7. And it all was birthed from, again, a small group of ladies that encouraged me, and then a study that we did as a result.
What a beautiful story. That is so beautiful, Tasha. So everyone, Tasha is encouraging us to get into our chapter 7s, right?
That's
moving
right.
from hiding to all that God is calling us to do, and looking at what chapter 7 ministries has done already. And there's so much more to come, but just already in what God is doing, it is mind blowing. It is beautiful. And I am so excited, and I am so proud of you, my sis. So proud of you.
It was him.
Yes, the work. And it's beautiful, because when you give God your yes, you never are really, you have an idea of what he can do, but when you start to really see what God can do with a willing heart, it is so beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was an awesome testimony, as well as letting us know what chapter 7 does. I wanted to also ask, like, how important is it, would you say, for women to operate in their full gifts? Maybe there's women who are playing small or not wanting to really tap into their full selves. How important would you say it is for women to operate in their full gifts?
I think it's 100% important, like the top of the list. And here's the thing, because we've been talking about this a lot lately, and even over like Arise that I talked about, it came up over and over again. It's not just important for you to walk in your gifting for you to have your breakthrough, for you to move out of sadness, darkness, whatever it is. it's important for you to have your breakthrough and walk in your purpose for every single person that is connected to you. God has people lined up. Like I had a vision in the first retreat we did, and I literally saw each woman that was there, and then there was lines of people behind them just waiting for them to walk out their purpose, to have the courage to walk out their purpose so that they can be lifted up. There's this thing where you should always have somebody above you who's lifting you up, but you should also be lifting someone up as well. And so when you're walking in your purpose and you're walking in your calling, one, yes, it's telling you that you trust God enough that you're doing this. And, we were all sent here to be disciples, be fishers of men. That's what he says. And so if we remember that and we always go back to that, then that's the ultimate reason why we have to walk out our purpose, because that's where our strength is going to lie. And that's where we're going to be have the best ability to be fishers of men. And again, it's not just about, because yes, God loves us and he doesn't want us in a hurtful, broken place, but it's also because there are people depending on us to walk out our calling in whatever area it is, so that they can be uplifted and reminded of the greatness that they have in them. And I've seen it. I've definitely have seen it with over this past time since chapter 7 has started.
Awesome. I love that. How would you say purpose plays a role in the work that you do with chapter 7?
Well, it was through my purpose why even chapter 7 began. So I would say that was the underlying thing. I first had to recognize what my purpose was, which I had some difficulty with. So I spent many years, what I would say, going uphill, and then this feeling like I was coming against a wall, feeling discouraged, because I had an idea of what I thought I wanted, according to what people spoke into my life, which it wasn't like bad things, right? Like, you should be a doctor. It's not bad if people believe that you can be a doctor, but it wasn't the call that God had on me, but I kept pushing against it. So once I realized my purpose, it literally happened when a friend of mine walked up to me one day, and I'm gonna call her out, Erica, she's watching. We met in Dallas when we first moved over here in Texas. We met in that Dallas area. And she said, Tasha, I don't know what it is, but she handed me a flyer and she said, this is what I think that you're supposed to be doing for career. And it was a flyer that was talking about a counselor's conference. And immediately the light bulb went in my head. It's like counseling, like that is what I'm supposed to do. Now, even still, it took me some time to figure out the purpose behind that. Do I go to school? What kind of counselor? Like, where would I go? But I just at least took the step forward. And I realized even in chapter 7, I need those counseling skills when I am working with the ladies and helping to encourage and all of that. Counseling, pretty much, it just means exhortation. And that's my gift. That's my purpose, to exhort women and elevate women as much as I can. So that's purpose. That's how important purpose is to chapter 7. And that's the underlying foundation of chapter 7, is let everyone walk in their purpose and you watch how they get into their chapter 7s.
That's beautiful. I love it. So talking about, I want to touch on balance for a minute. Some say balance is a myth. Some say it's possible. Some say you just do what you can. You are a mom, you are a wife, you're a ministry leader, you are a friend, you're so many things. How do you balance it all? Or is there such a thing?
Well, if there is such a thing, I'm going to say the Lord. That's how I do it. I can say, I've struggled somewhat in this area. I also, I do homeschooling. So that's a whole nother, thing to throw on there, but I definitely felt called to do it by God. It wasn't something that I always said I wanted to homeschool my girls. So I literally had to seek him. I had to seek him real hard on that. One thing I've learned to do is just ask God for strategy. And so, I think the biggest thing is knowing when to shift something, knowing how to fit certain things in is another big thing. But he answered my question as far as strategy. So for instance, I used to, when I started homeschooling, the reason why I brought up homeschooling is because when I started, I was like, I think I have to be just like when the kids would go to school, right? So if they're in public school, they're getting up at 7 a.m. in the morning, they're getting dressed, and I don't want them to be lazy, right? Because they say the early bird gets the
Right.
worm. So they got to get up early, and then I got to start teaching right away in the morning, and then we have lunch and did it, like all this stuff. And then I realized, yeah, that's not working, especially when my husband's schedule changed, and he's gone a lot of the times, most of the day. Like there are parts where, I used to have help with, and so we had to shift some things. And so I was like, God, what do I do so I can have some time to sit with you? I can have some time to breathe, and he'll help me now in the mornings. And rather than me trying to push and get everybody up in the morning and then have no time for myself throughout the entire day, I take the mornings for myself. And then when I put the baby girl, because I have 3 little girls, and when I put baby girl to sleep, that's when we start doing our studying. So there's less interruptions and all of that. And so I think when it comes to, I don't even know if it's balanced per se, maybe I am on that, let things fit where they may. And then sometimes it may not work out like how even I would love for it to work out when I have all my plans, but I have to be willing to shift. My biggest word is pivot. Like with anything, I got to be willing to pivot. When God says move, do something, you pivot. With God, same thing with life things. You just got to be willing to pivot. That's ultimately it.
I love your perspective about it, because sometimes either society or we can create in our own minds that there has to be a one size fit all, right?
Exactly.
Like I have to be this kind of mom. It has to look the part. But the reality of things is that it's not always a pretty situation, right? It could be
Right.
messy, right? But the point is we get it done. We do our best. When we need support, we lean on that support. When we need to shift things, let's shift. We need to change up the plans for the day, let's do that. But what works for your family, what works for your schedule, what works for the children. So I love that, because I believe that somebody needs to hear that today too. Know that you just got to do what works for you, right? And not be so hard on yourself. When maybe you didn't accomplish everything on the to-do list today, maybe some things had to be pushed to tomorrow. But you're like, hey, listen, I had to do this in order of priority.
Exactly.
Whatever was most important had to get done.
Exactly. So yes.
I love that. And also, Tasha, I wanted to know what would be like some advice you would give to maybe some other moms who feel like they do have gifts and abilities and talents, but they aren't actively operating in them.
If you feel like you have the gift and the talent, do it. Like take the first step. That's the biggest thing that I could say. And people have been reiterating that to me a lot as of late. Like, Tasha, you said yes, and look at what God has done. And it's like, it gets me emotional. Like even now, like I just finally stopped worrying about and being so concerned about like what I thought I could do or how I thought things would play out. And I just, okay, God, I'm just going to take the step, whatever, into the direction that I think you're calling me. Be sure that you know that it's him speaking to you, and you take the step. I want to highlight somebody else. So there's someone who we partner with, this organization called Gracewood Ministries, and they take in single mothers who pretty much are on the verge of like being homeless, I guess, in a sense, and they need some support. She was explaining her story to me, and she's like how she was in a place where, she was making money and it was profitable, but she just didn't feel like she was living out her purpose, in a sense of she wasn't able, because it was like counseling, whatever, to talk about Jesus, to talk about God, in that sense. And she just felt like most of the people she talked to, the missing piece was God. It was Jesus. And so she, being a single mother herself, was like, I can't stay in this position. Now, again, single mom deciding to move and shift her career is a big deal. It's a big deal, like making any kind of change is a big deal. But when you're doing it on your own, it's just hard. She decided that she just couldn't stay in that position. And then she ended up at Gracewood, where she may have things may have shifted. It may not have been the same pay or whatever it is. but she believed that that was her purpose. And now she's flourishing. She just moved up as president in the organization.
Wow.
And so, you know, again, she took the step of faith. And I heard it again this morning, someone doing the same thing. Like, I feel like God is telling me to leave corporate work, to do his work. And in situations like that, again, you have to be sure that he's the one telling that to you and you're not fooling yourself. But if you feel, if that is what it is, you do it. I had to do the same thing when I left. I said, I can't keep doing these corporate things. I'm just going to sit. And I had to sit for a while. I didn't get my vision and like the instructions right away. You know, all I knew is at that moment, I just needed to be home. And that wasn't something that I was never someone who thought I would be an at-home mom. I was very career driven. But he told me that I just needed to be at home. And so look at what, you know, I opened space to be able to focus on ministry in chapter 7. So whoever that is that needs that, you have it, you're giving a little bit, and he may be telling you that, no, I need you to give my all. He doesn't want just half of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wants you to trust him 100%, just like Abraham had to trust him with Isaac. The very gift that he gave, he may have given you something. You're like, but God, you gave it to me. So why are you going to take it away? Trust him. Trust him with it. Again, I just mentioned this too. Like I'm reminded every time I say that, I'm reminded of I think there's a meme, and Jesus is talking to a little girl, and she has this little teddy bear in her hand, and she doesn't want to let it go. And he's like, you know, like, give it to me. If you just trust me, give it to me. And behind his back, he's holding the biggest teddy bear that you could see. But we don't know what's on the other side. All we can do is trust him, take the step forward, and release everything to him, 100% give it to him. And, you know, you'll see what he can do.
Love it. Love it. I believe the biggest enemy of our faith is our eyes, right? Because we go based on what do I see? Yeah. I hear that there's more for me, God, but I don't see it yet. I know that you have, you know, your promises are waiting for me, but I can't see them yet. And so I will believe it once I see it. And God is asking us to believe it before we see it, you know, because that's how faith works. That's how faith works. So any women out there, any moms out there, be encouraged. There's so much in you. There's so much, and God can still use you. Any women, God can still use you. I don't care what you've been through, where you're from, what your past looks like. There is purpose on the inside of you. So thank you so much for sharing that, Tasha. And I just want to ask you in closing, how can we stay connected with you? How can we get connected with Chapter 7 Ministries?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are Chapter 7 ministries.org. That's our website. And you can find us on social, on Facebook and Instagram at Chapter 7 Ministries. You can look us up, reach out to any one of us on there, you can reach out to the page and one of us will respond. We would love to speak to anybody's on, and get you like locked in with our vision if you believe.
Awesome. Tasha, Renee, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today. It was an amazing, amazing chat. And for all of you ladies watching, for more conversations like this and for us to continue this talk, I do want you to join me at the 2001 Masterpiece Virtual Experience happening November 6th. Grab your ticket, bit.ly/masterpiece 2021 event. Can't wait to see you there. We're excited. Tasha, thank you. So everyone, thank you for hanging out with us today. We will see you very, very soon. And until then, be well. Bye, everyone.
Bye.